Hello and welcome to the channel all about economic board games. Today I will be giving you a detailed run through of a game called Chinatown, and this is brought to you by the designer at the top there, Carsten Hartwig, and the game was brought to you by these guys at the bottom. Now, if you're after more of an overview, then check out the video I made last week. Today I'll be reenacting a game just by myself as usual for 3 players. Now, Chinatown is a game, as it kind of says on the box, the art of trading, and we're going back to the 1960s. You got 6 rounds starting with 1965 all the way up to 1970, and we'll be trying to acquire title deeds to businesses on the board. You see, you got these 6 different building blocks of all these categories of numbers. You'll be building businesses and hoping to gain revenue from these businesses. I'm not going to go over all the rules in one big chunk. I'm just going to kind of play and see how we get on. Now, the index card is very handy in this game. You got the rounds 1 to 6, tells you how many cards to pick up. Got the few details at the bottom as well, and on the reverse you can see, depending on the number and size of your business, how much you're going to get paid out, and it gives you a breakdown of the turns from 1 to 6. And this game is for 3 to 5 players. I do prefer it with that larger player count. You're looking at about 60 minutes to 90 minutes max, I would say, and it's a pretty lightweight game, this one. So let's get started. Each player has got $50,000. Excuse me if I call it pounds. You got all these tokens which will be going out on the board to represent which ones you own. You got all the buildings in here which I'll kind of show as you go through, and on the far side here you got your stash of property. So the first thing we're going to do is deal the building cards, which are these, and in a 3-player game we can see 3 players. Round 1, the red number, we're going to be taking 7 cards and we're going to be keeping only 5 of them. So let me dish out 7 to each player. 2, 2, 3. I'd love to entertain you while I dish cards out, but I would lose track. So, starting with the yellows then, we can see, so we're kind of looking for adjacent ones on the board, because when you build buildings on them, when they are adjacent, that's how they grow in size. So, I apologise if this takes a little while for me to try to figure out, but hopefully it gives you a rough idea in a minute of what everyone's looking for. So looking at this then, I can't see any immediate connections. 66 maybe, which is over here, and 69. Now you could be working to things later on in the round, so they may be hoping to get 67, which they have got, so that's a clear winner then. So 66, 67 and 69. So even though they're not in numerical order, you can see on the board they actually make a connection. And 63 as well. Wow, this player's really landed on the money. So I did shuffle him, I promise. So what have we got? 45 over there, 46 and 48. So you do have to discard 2. Annoyingly, I'm not going to discard any of these 4 because that is really rare. And 45 and 46 are connected and 48 isn't. So 48's going, and unfortunately I'm just going to have to get rid of one of them, which will get reshuffled into the pack later on. So again, you draw 7 in this case and you keep 5. So I'm just going to put yellow's tokens on this. Now everyone would be kind of doing this simultaneously, so clearly it's going to take me a little bit longer just to do this now. Which other ones did we have? 63, I think it was 66, 69 and 67. Now these title deeds, I would recommend keeping them in front of you, because when you get to the trading phase, you'll be wanting to hand those out to potential other players who maybe want to buy them. So 83, 3, I'll try and keep these in some form of order. 44, these are really all over the place. So let's see if they can make the most. So 59, probably not. 56, where's that one? Over here. 44. So they're going to keep 44 because it's next to yellow and it might be something that yellow want to acquire. 3, 73. You know what? These are very spread out across the board. I'm going to keep 59. I'm going to keep 56. Oh, wrong one. Red. 59. We're going to keep 56. We're going to just get rid of these 2 here. Number 3 and 32. We're going to have 83 and 73. So a bit unlucky there, but as you go throughout the rounds, hopefully something will connect to them. And finally over to greens. So we've got 52, which is kind of out on its own there. Number 2, you know what, we're just going to leave number 2. It feels like nothing's close to that one. 35, 75, kind of over here. 28, so nothing fantastic. Let's just keep 61, that's kind of close to that. Let's get rid of 13. So we've disposed of 2. Let's plonk these out now. 28, 75, 35, 52. And obviously this would be a lot quicker with 3 people doing the job of just me on my own, and 61. So that is literally the first phase. Deal the building cards, we've put those back, and those will be replenished, what should I say, reshuffled into these, which I'll do now. I'll probably forget to do that later. There we are. Now we move on to draw shop tiles. So you, again, round 1, 3 players, you do the red number. In my overview video, I did make a mistake. I said it was the black number. I'll put a note in the description for that, but it is the red number. So we're going to be dealing 7 tiles out to each player, and these are all random. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now everything's kind of open in this game, other than money. It does suggest 2, 3, 4, 5. Keeping money secret, because that's kind of how you're going to be using it to buy things and make bids to people, because when we get to the trading stage, if people can see that you've got a load of money, they'll be kind of reluctant to sell you things in the hope that you can up the offer. So if I've got space on the camera view here, so not too much space, let's go with yellows first then. So we have an antiques, a restaurant, a factory. We have 3 photo shops, which I'll pile on top of each other, and dim sum. So I'll just show a couple of them. So you can see antiques here has got a big number 6. That means that the maximum size this business can grow to is 6 tiles in size, whereas the photo shop here can only grow to a maximum of 3. And that'll kind of make a lot more sense shortly. So the red players have got a photo shop. They've got 2 of those, 2 dim sum. They got a tropical fish, a tea house, and a takeout. And finally, the greens have a restaurant, a factory, a takeout, a florist, another tropical. So they've got a bit of everything here, jewellery and takeaway. And you can keep these from round to rounds, I believe, and you can use them as trading tools. So that was number 2, draw shop tiles. Number 3 is trade. So this is where the fun begins, and this stage will end once everyone agrees that it's over and everyone's, you know, finished doing the trades they want to. You can literally negotiate with anyone for pretty much everything, and that'll make a lot more sense as I start discussing that in a minute. And let's get cracking then on trades. So everyone can trade any of their title deeds, which kind of helps people see what's on the board through the counters, makes it transparent. You've got your own money you can trade, and you've got these shops which have yet to be built. And you can do a combination, so everyone's looking at what everyone else has got, except for the money, which would be kept secret. I'm keeping it available because there's only me here. And let's just start off then. Obviously yellows have got a nice position here with 4. Maybe they really want this green, but I very much doubt it, because looking at their buildings, you know, they could already put 3 photo shops off, so maybe they're not reluctant to barter that much. Or if they did, they could have a 3 and then another 3. Maybe red in this case really wants to have number 61, so they could start building this photo shop maybe. Is there anything that green wants from red? Possibly not. We've got yellow up here who would maybe like this one. Red, so let's just have, I'm not probably going to get the optimum trade in here, but let's just assume green wanted to trade with yellow, and green really wants yellows. Ooh, let's say they want the factory and they want the restaurant, and they want 20 grand of that, so they're going to take a factory. So they've got 2 of them now, a restaurant, so they go for the long-term strategy, and they want 20 grand as well. So yellow has paid all that over. Now, just so you know, The winner at the end of the game after these 6 rounds is the person with the most money. It doesn't matter what you've done on the board. It's about earning money out of these businesses. So what are they going to provide in return? Well, they're going to provide the deeds for number 61. So they're going to hand over this. They're going to change their token for a yellow. And that's one trade done. And you can do this continually from player to player. You don't have to wait for one person. You can just be shouting over people, say, look, I can do a better deal than that. So it gets a bit hectic. Now, red and yellow have something that they may wish to swap. Red is after number 45 and yellow is after number 59. Now, you might think, yep, straight swap could be fair enough. But red's thinking, right, I'm giving you a bigger empire here. Maybe check in 10 grand just for goodwill. So red is going to give number 59 over to yellow, and yellow is going to give number 45. So straight swap, and they're also going to chuck in 20 grand. So let's just do a straight swap for them. It's very unlikely that players would allow this this empire to build down here, but you need to get something going yourself, and maybe that's the sacrifice. And money is kind of key because, you know, you got a bit more money to barter later on. So let's just assume that's the trading that's occurred. We then go over to place shop tiles number 4. So once they are placed on the board, you can't move them. You can still trade them if you wish to just hand in your whole shop along with the title deed. So let's start with yellow then, assume they're the starting player. And I guess this makes a difference because depending on where you put things, your opponents will decide what they're going to do. So let's not think too hard. They're just going to put their Photoshop on these 3 here. You keep the tokens on to show people, you know, that's your property. And we've got antiques and dim sum. We'll just leave them there because we may want to trade them in a bit. Over to reds, they have got equally these 2 at the top. Your choice as to what business you put down, and it'll make sense over the revenue shortly. And the greens don't really have a lot on the board, and it's a bit of a power play. If they decide to commit to an area, it is a spot of luck as to what ones come out from the pack. But equally, you know, if there's ones that you really want and your opponents have got them and they're no use to them, it's about trading and negotiating for those to get things your opponent wants. So they're not really going to commit just yet to anything, which could miss them the odd 10, 20 grand, we'll see. So we now go over to number 5, which is earn income. So we look at the board. Let's start with yellows. You see if they've got any businesses. So they've got a size 3 business here, and it fills the requirements on the tile. It says a maximum of 3, so that is a complete business. 3 tiles matches the 3 number. So we look on here and we can see a complete business that is size 3 is going to get $50,000 from the bank. Happy days. That's yellow done. They've got no more businesses out there. The only other business left is for red at the top. Now it's incomplete because it's only 2 tiles and it needs 3 to be complete. So in this case, incomplete would get them $20,000 from the bank. So not too bad. So you can already see that if greens in this case had have maybe just put 1 out, 1 incomplete business would have got them 10,000, but they're not quite sure. You know, if they'd have put out 1, 2, 3, 4 different businesses, that would have been at least 40,000 in the bank. And the game is about money, but it's taking a chance as to if you commit to a restaurant here and people, your opponents, can see that and they get some numbers around you, it kind of, you know, drives you to pay a little bit more for that land. So a lot of interesting strategy there, and that is literally first 5 moves, and then the final one is just to move the era. So we're in 1966, round 2. So number 1 again, we're going to deal out these cards. Now you look at round 2 this time, and in a 3-player game it's going to be 6 cards dealt but only 4 kept. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5. So I'm not going to do a full game playthrough. I'm just going to sort of maybe do a couple of rounds for you. So here, right, this is where it gets a bit more interesting, and I apologize, it takes me a while. So yellows have 84, which is next to red. You know what, we're just going to have that one straight away. Number 50 is over there. We're going to not have that one. 16, we'll pass on that one just to speed things up. 78 looks like a good bet. 36, and that worked out okay. And number 1 over to these guys. So you just add those to your stash. We have 57, which, You know what, we'll run with that because it's kind of close to one of our own. 60, we'll run with that as well. That feels like that could be useful. Number 9, we'll discard that one. Number 50, we'll discard that one. And we'll keep 68. Oh, that worked out okay. And number 80 as well, which worked out well. Over to greens. So remember, we have to discard, I think it was 2. Yep, 6 and 4. 55, we're going to keep that one. That feels like that could be worth something. 29 feels like that. Oh, yeah, that's worked out okay. And 33. And we've got 82, which, yes, I will keep. Ooh, got some good ones here, actually. 60, you know what, we'll just go with 82. We'll discard these. We won't think about them. But you can see 65 and 77 have come out. Now, they're going to get reshuffled back in, so there's a potential for them to come out again. So that was round 1, folks. Not round 1, but turn 1 of that round. Over to number 2, which is get the shot tiles. Now, round 2, 3 players, we are going to get 6 tiles only this time. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, interestingly, the game comes with some blanks as well, so you can make your own businesses, which is kind of nice. I've not actually done that with the copy I had. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there we are, 6. So let's see if we've got anything interesting. So the yellows have got a florist, another florist, a dim sum. They've got a seafood, a takeaway. So they've got a bit of variety there. These guys, reds, have got antiques, restaurants, tea house, restaurant and laundry. Again, a mixed bag. What have we got here? These guys have got absolutely everything. Factory, seafood. So you're looking at your opponents, ready for this next trading phase. And let's kick off then. So these guys, the greens, are looking for factories. They've got 3 currently. And to be fair, there's none actually from their opponents. What's everyone after? Maybe these guys could trade some florists. So, right, let's look at the board. Is there any land that anyone particularly looks like they're after? Yellows could create another free business, maybe a seafood. These guys have got 2 seafoods, so that could be an interesting play. Is there any land that green wants some yellow? Yeah, there is this one here. Whether it's worth the 2 seafood, maybe check in some money, or yellow could give them this property as well. Let's do that then. So, green's going to hand these 2 seafood to yellow. In exchange, it's a heavy one, but they know what they're going to use for, and that's a complete business straight away, which is earning them revenue. And they're going to give them number 36 and 78. So that's 78 and 36, if that's hiding somewhere. There we go. So there we are, 2 properties in exchange. So they now have that one and that one, which gives green the potential as well. And what else can we see? Red wants to do something. They've got some tea houses. No one else has a tea house. These guys have got dim sum, and they've got 2 already. So maybe red could offer something to yellow. Or they are also after another photo shop, which, believe it or not, no one's got. Ooh, tricky. It's probably not the optimum move, but let's say red is going to give it to yellow. These 2, it looks outrageous, but I'm just going to show you it for the hell of it. So yellow's got that. They wanted the dim sum because this could potentially build them a business of 5, and they're going to give them 80 and 83. There we are. Now, theoretically, if they wanted to trade these 2, they could give them the business underneath it as well. I'm not going to go too much into the trade, and let's just say that's fair enough. Everyone's happy and we move on. So we now go to the income. Let's start with yellows again. They've got this full business here, 3 and 3, which is going to get them 50,000. And the reds have the 2 at the top. 2 incomplete is going to be 20,000. And greens, oh, did I miss a phase actually? Place your chop tiles. Oh, I did. Apologies. I've missed a phase, so let's give that money back then. I can't recall whether I did the Reds income. We're placing shop tiles. I thought it looked a bit sparse on the board, so let's do some Reds then. So they're going to do this seafood restaurant. And there we are, they've got 2 businesses. Now let's just say, for example, this Photoshop here was a seafood restaurant. It would be 4 in size adjacent, and it would still be count as 2 separate businesses because you can only have a max size 3 for the seafood restaurant, and that single one here, even though it's connected, would be classed as one on its own. It might also be the case that you've got, say, maybe ignore these two here, maybe if that was a seafood restaurant, it's diagonal, it's not adjacent, wouldn't count, it'd still be its own separate business. And over to reds, or maybe yellows just want to, they've got another free business here, maybe they want to start on a florist. So let's get that out, at least it gets some revenue in. Over to reds now, they've committed to that Photoshop at the top. I think they're going to start this dim sum business. They're going to, take a chance and hope that some of these numbers come out later. They're not really earning a lot of revenue, and they're thinking, let's just get some of these out. Let's get a laundry. Let's get a tropical fish shop out here. And red has got everything other than these two, and they may be like, you know what, we're just gonna. But the problem is, well, not too bad in this case. If you just decided to put a business there, you're losing your potential to sell that business, because clearly an antiques business there, this seafood restaurant isn't going to be interested. But in this case, they've already maximised the free, and if anyone was to want to buy this antique shop, which I very much doubt it, a 6 would require 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would pretty much require this whole area to be built in to make it, more valuable. But in this case, they're going to take a chance and put 2 antique restaurants there, and it kind of pays off a little bit because the yellows aren't actually interested in expanding their businesses. But if this was a 4 of what have we got, a florist maybe, and they really wanted one of these spots, it'd probably be advantageous for reds to build a florist just in case they get a really good opportunity to deal with yellows in that case. But they just want to get some businesses out there to make money. And over to the greens end, so they got 2 here and a big one up there. We're going to start going for a factory up here, because if we can get that number 30, we are in the money. And they're going to keep that one free maybe. They've got a couple down here. What size business maybe? So you can see in this case, if they decide to go for a florist, it's still a little bit away from that one. Maybe they're going to go a tropical fish, and hopefully 74 comes out and they can do a deal. And we haven't got any dim sum to go there. We'll just leave that for now. So we've placed our buildings over to what we were starting originally, earn income. Yellows then. I took that 50 grand back, didn't I? So we'll start afresh with yellows. They've now got 2 businesses here, both equal 3 in size, which is their complete and the max. So we look at size 3, which is going to be 50 grand for each of those businesses. So we're going to take our first 100 grand there. Yellows also have a 2 and a florist, incomplete, which is 20,000. So once the board starts filling up, you kind of have to pay attention to where all your businesses are. That's yellow done. Over to red, they got 1, 2 businesses incomplete, which is 10,000 each. They have got another individual, another 2, and so they've got 3 more individuals, which is another 30,000, 10,000 each, and that doubler at the top, which is 20,000. So I'm probably just going to have to trade out a few of these 10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they've got a lot of single businesses. Every little bit of money counts. I think that was all of reds. Did I do those? Or did I do these? Yeah, I did those, I think. And over to green then. So they have got nothing. They got a 10,000 for that. And then they've got 2 of those incomplete at 20 pops. 20, 20 and a 10 is 50. Okay, so that was the revenue stage. Over to earning income. Move the market. There we are. So I'm going to do one more round then. And here we go. So we look at this again on the index card. Round 3, 3 players. So again, 6 and 4. And it looks like it remains like that for the rest of the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. So hopefully you get a really good insight as to how this game... Oh, I forgot to shuffle those in. Apologies. That could make all the difference. And let's see what we're going to keep. So we're looking to keep 4 of these, I think. Right. Yellows have got 42, which let's just get rid of that. It's a bit out the way. 51 could come into play with greens. We've got 43 is an absolute must because reds will definitely want that. 12, there's not really a lot going on over here. 70, oh, that's a power play as well. The reds may really want to get hold of that one. And 22, I think I discarded 2 there. Yeah, 22, where are we over here? And over to the reds, 85, which you can already see reds will definitely want a piece of that one. The yellows might have a little bit of trade in there. Number 20 doesn't seem that useful at the moment. 25 and I've already discarded 2. So over to now. Clearly, if you're your own player and you're thinking about your own things, you can spend a lot more time than I'm thinking on just whacking out these title deeds. So 27 and number 19. So a bit of spread there. Over to greens. I don't think they're going to keep number 4 or 41. Let's just go 48. Yeah, that's handy. 46. Oh, some nice ones here for green. 32. Oh, they've managed to do it, folks. Number 3. Not bad in the end. Took a bit of a gamble getting rid of them 2. And over to the businesses then. So we are in round 3 now. And we're going to be getting 6 businesses. Let's get a stash of these then. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. So the yellows have a restaurant, antiques, jewelry, and tropical. And the reds have a restaurant. Well, they've got 3 restaurants now. Antiques, seafood, dim sum. So that dim sum could come in handy. A tea house and a restaurant. And these guys are after factories, from what I can recall. Laundry, antiques. So, they've got a photo shop as well, which the reds may be interested in. So we have done the draw shop tiles over to trading. So I can see an immediate trade here. Greens have a photo shop and this land here, which reds will be eager to acquire. But what do greens want in return? They were building factories over here. Unfortunately, they have no factories. Neither do these players. That is very frustrating for the greens. They really wanted to connect this one up so their business would be 5 in strength, which would give them a lot of income. That is a shame. Is there anything else they can build? Green is, they've got a tropical fish here. They could maybe trade. Okay, so I'm going to come back to them because this tropical fish may become very useful. So they may have negotiated and said, look, we'll do a deal, but I need you reds to get this tropical fish for me. That is key. So maybe these 2 are going to work something out. Yellows and reds. I can already see yellows may be interested in that one, and reds may be interested in this one. And not going to think too hard about equally yellows and reds may want to sort of contest over that. So there could be some negotiation, but these are the only guys who've got the photo shop, which they need, and they could chuck in the land. So maybe that's a deal breaker. Let's just say reds are going to give yellow number 85. So let's have a look for 85, probably right at the bottom. You know what, I'm not going to spend the time looking, it's in there somewhere. And they have swapped that over, and reds in return want this tropical fish, and they now acquire that, and they want this one in return, number 70. There we are, that's the deal done. Now these guys can talk with green. They're like, right, we want that tropical fish. They're going to give, red's going to give them that. Red is also going to give them this business here. Now, I'm baffled as to why I got so excited about that, because there's no actual connection yet between 74 and 77. But hey, I'm only playing 3 rounds in a 6 round game. The odds are one of them will come out and they'd be able to trade for it. So I'm going to continue with this amazing trade of mine. So they've given them a tropical fish. They're going to give them this business here. So they take their red token off and they would find the title deed and hand that over as well. And in exchange, green is going to give red this one up here and that Photoshop they desperately wanted. Now that seemed probably fair. I'd guess maybe these guys would want a bit of money for not having completed the business. What else have we got on the board? So these guys, we've decided there is no factories left out there. You know, I'm not going to think too hard. We'll leave it there. Time to place out the tiles. Now yellow has just... Oh, that florist. Oh, they were going to use... right, florist. I'm going to do a late trade. Now, normally, once everyone's decided that's it, they're done, you move on. But let's say greens and yellows. Green's going to give these guys the 2 florists, and we're just going to do a cash transaction. They're like, right, you want them, you're paying for them, that's 50 grand. Now, clearly this player would be outweighing whether the cost of paying 50 grand to the greens is worth it in consideration to the income they're going to generate from these florists. So now we're going back to placing tiles. The yellow's like, yes, we've got a complete business here. We're in the game of being a florist. What else can they put out? Yellows have got a few up there, nothing amazing. Well, they have got that Photoshop. Oh, they haven't got the Photoshop. Oh no, Reds acquired that. Over to Reds, they're eager to complete this Photoshop. Reds will also put out another antique shop here. That's expanded to 2. Reds are done. Over to Greens. They have put out a tropical fish. It's a shame they haven't managed to get that one. Greens have got the 2 there, and they're thinking, right, I might as well, you know, in this 3-round game I'm playing, I'd probably not put these here because we're trying to get the factories, and equally we'll just put these restaurants out here just to show you the importance of getting that revenue. Boom, they're done. Over to earn income then. So I won't do it all again, but essentially you'd look at your businesses. In this case, the yellows have got a nice 4-size complete business, which would get them 80 grand. I think these are 50 and 50. That would be yellow. So you can see they're acquiring a lot of money already. And you do the same for all the other businesses. You then move the marker up. You'd keep going to round 6. You do the same again. But instead, after you've earned income in the final round, obviously there's no more years to play out, you would tally up all your money you've acquired. These leftover businesses and properties aren't worth anything. So if you're really shrewd and you get these title deeds that are kind of excess that you're not really going to use yourself, are you going to make that decision to just plonk a little one business on it, let's just say this yellow one here, and get that 10 grand? Or are you going to sell it for a load of money from an opponent and get 50 grand, which would mean you've basically acquired 5 rounds of 10 grand in one go? So there's a lot to do on that trading and negotiation and which tiles to keep. It's pivotal to the game and how you earn income. And that is it. So I just think this game is so simple and streamlined, and it's a lot of fun with that high player count. Do expect a lot of hectic negotiation during that trade, and it's very rare that it's played out very formally. It gets, I want this, give me that, and I'll pay you that. Oh, you want that, I'll up you by 10 grand, 20 grand. So yeah, a lovely trading game, this one. That is Chinatown.